Here.
Mayor Vagianos.
Here, will you all please join us in a salute to our flag? I move that the Village Council minutes of January 6th, January 8th, and January 15th, 2025, having been reviewed by the Village Council and now available in the Village Clerk's office, be approved as submitted.
I second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes, because it is just amazing that the clerk's office has gotten so caught up on these minutes, and I'm really proud of you.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was thinking exactly the same thing.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes, I'm just gonna, can everybody in the audience hear me? I'm on a different mic. No? Can you hear me better now? Okay, well, I'm gonna vote yes, with the exception that I wasn't here on January 6th, but I did review them and they seem complete. Thank you, Heather.
okay,
And
and
let's move on.
Vagianos.
Get a vote
Oh.
on the minutes.
Yes.
All right, resolution number 25-103. I'll read it in full. Be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that Jennifer Natoli be and she is hereby appointed Deputy Village Clerk of the Village of Ridgewood effective January 6, 2025. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
With great pleasure, yes. And now we get to do something really fun. So we're coming down to the well. Everybody come on up. Swear in our new deputy clerk, who has been with us for a while, and we are so fortunate to have her as our new deputy clerk. So, we have a Bible, and would you hold the Bible? Place your left hand on the Bible. No, not yours. That was a good one. And raise your right hand, please. And would you repeat after me? I, Jennifer Natoli, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
That I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform all of the duties
and justly perform all of the duties
of the office of Deputy Village Clerk
of the office of Deputy Village Clerk
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. And now, as you know, there's lots of paperwork you have to sign, or it's not official.
You're telling me to sign for once.
Yes, yes. No, 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 no. Over here. Up here. She probably drew it up today, by the way, herself. Great. Jen, we are so happy to have you on board, and we're really looking forward to many years of you working with Heather to get all this really important paperwork and issues done for the village, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to take this position, and I look forward to many years of working together and contributing.
Great. Thanks again. Always a nice part of the night. And now we have several proclamations. So we have one for Read Across America. Frank,
Shall I start?
please do.
All right. So the Read Across America is on March 2nd, and that's to celebrate Dr. Seuss's birthday. And while we're familiar with Dr. Seuss as an author, I was excited to read this because there's also a New Jersey connection to Dr. Seuss. He also had an imprint where he published other books. So how many people know Go Dog Go or Are You My Mother? Those were written by P.D. Eastman, who was a longtime Leonia resident. So it's doubly happy to read this because of the New Jersey connection. Whereas the National Education Association Read Across America Day will be conducted on March 2nd, 2025, as a national celebration of reading and the birthday of Theodore Seuss Geisel, better known as Dr. Seuss, and whereas Read Across America, New Jersey, will be observed statewide by the New Jersey Education Association in partnership with the New Jersey State League of Municipalities, the New Jersey Library Association, and their local affiliates across the state to promote reading and adult involvement in education in our community students, and whereas the citizens of the Village of Ridgewood stand firmly committed to promoting reading as the catalyst for our students' future academic success, their preparation for America's jobs of the future, and their ability to compete in a global economy, and whereas the Village of Ridgewood has provided significant leadership in our area of community involvement in the education of our youth, grounded in the principle that educational investment is the key to the community's well-being and long-term quality of life. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood calls on the citizens of the Village of Ridgewood to assure that every child is in a safe place reading together with a caring adult on March 2nd, 2025. And be it further resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood enthusiastically endorses the NEA's Read Across America Day and recommits the Village of Ridgewood to engage in programs and activities to make Americans' children the best readers in the world.
Thank you, Frank. And now we have another proclamation for Super Science Saturday, which, just to keep the alliteration going, why don't we have Siobhan read it?
So whereas March 1st, 2025 is the 36th annual Super Science Saturday, which is a community-wide family fair dedicated to the idea that science is both exciting and fun, and whereas this event is billed as, quote, the greatest science extravaganza in northern New Jersey, end quote, and whereas more than 1,000 science lovers from Ridgewood and surrounding communities will flock to Ridgewood High School to see a host of science exhibits, workshops, and demonstrations, and whereas students from all of Ridgewood's schools will be participating in the Hall of Science, and whereas the Super Science Saturday appeals to everyone from the casual observer to the aspiring scientists, sparking an interest in students, adults, and organizations wishing to further explore their passion, and whereas some of the events will include Science Circus, presented by Liberty Science Center, exhibits from Brooklyn Robot Foundry, Thomas Edison National Historic Park, the Ridgewood Police, Fire and EMS, and many, many more. Whereas this annual event was started over 30 years ago by award-winning science teacher, Mr. Wallace, Jim Wallace, to encourage families to share their scientific interest and talents, and is now run by a parents' committee of dedicated volunteers, and whereas this invaluable service to our youth has become a hallmark of goodwill and cooperation. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim March 1st, 2025 as Super Science Saturday in the Village of Ridgewood and invites science enthusiasts of all ages to come to Ridgewood High School to join in the festivities.
Thank you, Siobhan. And I'm now going to read a proclamation for Dad's Night Days, which, by the way, Super Science Saturday and Dad's Night are two of the reasons that this really is the greatest town in America, because just the neatest stuff happens here. And I am a proud but embarrassed sometimes Dad's Night alum. It was one of my best experiences here in town since I got here. So, whereas the Village of Ridgewood treasures its children, And whereas our school system supports and nurtures our children, and whereas Dad's Night has helped our schools by raising hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past 80 years. And whereas Dad's Night is dedicated to providing this service to the village's children. And whereas this year's event will be titled Dad's Night 81, Dad Boys. Now, therefore, the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim Friday, March 14th, 2025, and Saturday, March 15th, 2025, as Dad's Night 81 Dad Boys at Hawes Elementary School in the Village of Ridgewood, in honor of all the dads here this evening, as well as all of those who have volunteered before them. Oh, excuse me, and that should be, because we have two separate proclamations, but I will just combine them. It is Hawes and Somerville Elementary Schools. And so with that, we will move on, and our next proclamation is to proclaim March American Red Cross Month. Pam, would you do the honors?
Yes, I will, but just going back to Dad's Night, isn't it being performed at Ben Franklin?
It is.
Okay,
It is, but
okay.
it is for the dads from Hawes and
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
Hawes and Somerville.
Whereas the American Red Cross was established in 1881 and chartered by Congress in 1905 to act in times of emergencies, and whereas the American Red Cross is one of the nation's oldest and most recognized humanitarian organizations, spanning more than 140 years and spread across nearly 200 countries. And whereas the Red Cross, born of a desire to bring assistance without discrimination through its strong network of volunteers, donors, and partners, is always there in times of need. And whereas the American Red Cross aims to prevent and relieve suffering with its every action. The Red Cross shelters, feeds, and provides comfort to people affected by disasters, supplies about 40% of the nation's blood, teaches skills that save lives, distributes humanitarian aid, and supports veterans, military members, and their families. And whereas, in 1943, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt issued the first Red Cross Month proclamation to honor local community heroes who help to ensure their neighbors never face crisis alone. And whereas the Red Cross encourages everyone to join the annual celebration by giving blood, volunteering, or taking a life-saving skills course. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim March 2025 as American Red Cross Month in the Village of Ridgewood.
Thank you, Pam. And our final proclamation is a really critical one. It's proclaiming March as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. Evan?
Thanks so much, Paul. Whereas colorectal cancer is the second leading cause of cancer-related deaths in the United States, claiming more than 50,000 American lives each year, and is a major health concern for families in New Jersey. And of all cancer deaths in people under 50, colorectal cancer is number 1 in men and number 2 in women. And whereas colorectal cancer is preventable and treatable, and about 55% of colorectal cases and deaths can be attributed to modifiable risk factors, such as certain diets, physical inactivity, smoking, and drinking alcohol. And whereas in February 2000, President Clinton designated March as National Colorectal Cancer Month to raise the profile of this disease and encourage screening. As many as a third of people who can are not being screened, allowing colorectal cancer a chance to grow and become more dangerous long before symptoms appear. Whereas the New Jersey Cancer Education and Early Detection Program provides comprehensive education, outreach, early detection, case management, screening, and follow-up in all 21 counties. And whereas New Jersey's statewide campaign to end colorectal cancer encourages individuals, organizations, and health professionals in New Jersey to collaborate and partner on screening and educational awareness initiatives. And whereas this campaign is being conducted through the NJCEED program in the New Jersey Department of Health and Senior Services, with the overall mission of reducing the incidence and deaths of colorectal cancer, increasing colorectal cancer awareness and prevention behaviors, developing support partnerships, and extending and reinforcing the core message for behavioral change. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim March 2025 as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month in the Village of Ridgewood, New Jersey, and urges our residents to educate themselves about and be screened for colorectal cancer.
Thank you, Evan. And now let's go to public comment. Amy, I'm not sure that that's on. Could you just check to see if there's a green light at the base?
Oh, hello.
Much
Okay,
better.
got it.
Good.
Awesome. Good evening, Amy McCambridge, Ridgewood residents. Frank, I love how you brought up Dr. Seuss. I suggest that everyone should start with reading the Lorax because it's a tale of environmental stewardship. And that brings me to, I want to talk about nature. Nature is the greatest healer. Long before prescriptions and modern medicine, the earth provided everything we ever needed: clean air, fresh water, and natural remedies. For children, nature is even more powerful. It strengthens their immune systems, it reduces stress, and improves their ability to focus and learn. But with every tree that we cut down and every green space we pave over and every artificial turf field we install, we are stealing something priceless from them. Artificial turf does not heal, it harms. It emits toxins, traps dangerous heat, and suffocates the very ground that should be giving life. It's not a solution, it's a sacrifice, one that prioritizes short-term convenience over long-term health. And now, after the contamination at Shedler was exposed, not by the village council, who said it was completely safe, but by concerned citizens, we are at another crossroads. You've admitted now, only after the NJDEP got involved, that the contaminated soil was used to construct the berm. That was a failure in oversight somewhere in the village council's leadership, yet there has been zero accountability. And now, in addressing that failure, the proposed plan is to tear up every tree, every plant, and all existing life only to replace it with artificial turf. That's not a solution, that's a further betrayal, again, of our duty to this community and the environment. I also ask you to talk about the $2.6 million that has been put into this property. Let me remind you, there is no price when it comes to the destruction of nature. There is no amount of money that justifies replacing a living, breathing ecosystem with plastic and rubber. No dollar figure makes up for the loss of trees, pollinators. Frank, you should know more than anybody, nothing can replace nature and the balance between humans and the environment. Cleaning up the contamination is now an obligation thanks to those citizens who did speak up. But your responsibility doesn't end there. You don't get to destroy a living ecosystem, correct your mistake halfway, and then cover it with plastic. That is not remediation. That is an abandonment of our duty to restore what was lost. I find it extremely convenient that the contaminated soil placed there by this village now so conveniently leads to the tearing up of every tree and all life impacted by the contamination, a mistake now being used to justify more destruction. Cleaning up the contamination does not mean we throw artificial turf on top. We need to restore the soil and the ecosystem that we destroyed. This cleanup should not be a gateway to another project that disregards nature for the sake of profit. It's an opportunity to make things right. That's why, to me, the only responsible course of action is to put a moratorium on everything until we fully assess the damage that we have done, find out exactly who is responsible for the dumping of the contaminated soil, not just on the berm, but over all full 7 acres. And we would ask for an internal investigation. We can't move forward with more destruction without fully understanding the consequences of our actions. The only responsible path is true restoration, revitalizing the soil, replanting native trees, and committing to the regeneration of the land. Artificial turf is not substitute for nature. Shedler deserves to heal, not be buried by another mistake. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Anybody else? Seeing no one, we're going to go to our hybrid access. Cynthia, you're up.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Cynthia O'Keefe, Ridgewood resident. You can hear me okay?
We can.
Great. I wanted to share with the council, and for those of you who might not attend Ridgewood's Board of Ed meetings, that last week's session, Dr. Schwartz stated that it's important for the board to make informed decisions and that the BOE are open to reading any kind of literature in order to make a science-based approach. And most of the information
Cynthia, if you could speak a little more slowly, we can hear you. I'm having trouble hearing every word, though. So if you could speak a little more
Oh.
slowly.
And a
Okay.
little louder, too, if possible.
Louder, is that even a thing with me? Gosh, I'm usually pretty loud. But anyway, okay, so I attended the Board of Ed meeting and listened to Dr. Schwartz talk about a science-based approach that they were taking to artificial turf. Basically, everything that they were using for educational purposes were derived from the advice from Dr. Sarah Evans and the Mount Sinai letter. Dr. Schwartz went on to say that while they were not going to engage at this time in ripping up the existing turf, he wanted to make it clear that the only discussions they were currently having were basically to undertake putting natural turf playing surfaces at Benjamin Franklin, which would be used as an overflow field. Dr. Schwartz said that he respected the fact that residents may be concerned about health and well-being where turf was concerned, and he thought it was great to have the active engagement from the community in this regard. His closing remarks were very direct, and he didn't mince words, and said that when we are talking about artificial turf, the literature is very clear that artificial turf is made up of chemical compounds that are not good for the environment and not good for people to ingest or absorb into their skin. So, I guess my ask would be that it would be great to have all of you keep an open mind. Right now we only have Pam as the only person who's really vocally come out and taken a stance against the harmful nature of turf. And, that's a little sad to me and other people who believe it's harmful. I'd just like to remind everybody, just like we read that oath to the young lady who's going to become the assistant village clerk, everyone took an oath to faithfully, impartially, and justly serve. So one can only hope that maybe one day you'll change your stance at some point in the future, or that you'll at least keep an open mind to other studies and maybe a presentation that we can put together with real experts who can talk about this and, perhaps give you information that you were not armed with before. What we don't need from any of our elected officials is, maybe clever marketing or to have you redirect our attention to a more favorable set of details that support another narrative, one narrative that maybe, leans towards special interests. Let's keep that in mind, because these decisions are serious and they require your careful attention from all of you. So this doesn't only extend to artificial turf, but it extends to what Amy was talking about with the terrible soil contamination, the potential remediation, and other matters where health and safety are concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'm going to close public comment. Does anyone have any comments from the dais?
Yeah, I do. I'd like to start by saying that using government agencies, both the federal government as well as European government, their data is not special interest groups. Additionally, at the last meeting, Keith read off the number of sports, kids playing sports in this town, and I think it's not correct to say that the sports is a special interest group when the majority of Ridgewood residents, their families have kids playing some sort of sports. So I just think that that narrative needs to be correct, and that's it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I just have one thing. Cynthia, if you're still listening, can you send the timestamp of Dr. Schwartz's statements to the Board of Ed? I believe we should have those statements read to the Fields Committee, which would be interesting. And I also think that Paul and Evan should touch base in the collaborative meeting as to the statement. So if someone could forward the timestamp, not to be lazy, I'm not going to watch the whole Board of Ed meeting. I'd love to see the statement, and then we could bring it to some of our committees.
And I assume that was the Board of Ed meeting last Monday? So if you could give us the date and the timestamp, that would be very helpful, because I certainly want to read Dr. Schwartz's comments.
And going back, we did entertain the idea of a panel. We've been unable to engage with some of the people who reached out to us, so if anybody else is having success with that, Pam and I are running, the yin and yang on this. We like to go together to meet with the eco people, but we also want to hear for the detractors together. And so we've still been unable to contact them, unless
Great.
you haven't heard from anybody.
I have not.
Okay.
I haven't tried, actually. But
Everybody good? Good. Let's move on. Manager's report, and our village manager, Keith, could not be here this evening, so Heather, we are so fortunate to have her who can step into this role without even blinking twice, so.
Mayor,
take it away.
Mr. Kazmar could not be here tonight, as you indicated, as his son is swimming in the state tournament semifinals.
Nice.
We have one item to report tonight and some announcements. We're currently scheduling a date, weather contingent, to remove the bus shelter near Van Ness Square at Dayton Street. Public Works will be placing a temporary shelter at that location for now, and we will be meeting with the Historic Preservation Commission to review various polygon structures for placement there. Councilmember Winograd has also been in touch with the City of Boston regarding their green roof program atop their bus shelters, a concept we are also exploring for the new Van Ness bus stop. There will be more discussion on this project, but we are pleased it is finally moving forward, and we will have a useful bus shelter for commuters. I want to give a reminder about snow removal, that all sidewalks in residential districts must be removed. All snow from sidewalks in residential districts must be removed within 24 hours of the snow falling. Reminder of garbage pickup during snow and ice events. If it is snowing when you leave home in the morning or it is icy, please place your garbage cans at the end of your driveway until you have a clear path to them. We appreciate your cooperation in keeping our village employees safe. All village offices and departments will be closed on February 12th and February 17th in observance of Lincoln's birthday and President's Day. There will be no garbage or recycling pickup, and the recycling center will also be closed on these days. Please check your village calendar for garbage and recycling pickups for these 2 weeks, as they will change due to the holidays. February is American Heart Month. The Ridgewood Health Department will be hosting a blood drive on February 28th from 12 noon to 6 p.m. at Village Hall in the Youth Lounge on Level 1. To sign up, please call or text 646-656-5798 or email ssaeid@nybc.org. The Department of Parks and Recreation will be holding a seasonal summer job fair on Wednesday, March 12th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. in the Community Center of Village Hall. The summer job fair is for young adults ages 16 and older. Explore the positions available, learn about the requirements and job descriptions for each position, and speak with supervisors who can answer all of your questions. For further information, please call 201-670-5560. Village Council upcoming meetings are broadcast live from the Village Hall courtroom, on the village website, and Channel 34 on FiOS. The next Village Council work session is February 26th, March 5th, and March 26th. And then March 12th is actually the council public meeting. They all begin at 7:30 p.m. In addition, we have 2 more budget meetings, one on February 19th and the second one on February 27th, and those begin at 5 p.m. here in the courtroom. That's all I have.
Thank you, Heather. And let's go to council reports. Frank?
Got nothing.
Nothing. Siobhan?
Evan, this is for you. I have nothing.
We might look at it, see if we can go full board. So,
Pam's got notes, just so you know.
It's only been 5 days.
that was what I was about to say. It's only been, so my committees have not met in the 5 days since we last met, so I have nothing.
Oh, 3 for 3?
So,
Pam?
okay. Green Ridgewood held a brainstorming session to get residents' input on energy conservation and moving to non-fossil fuel energy, that sort of thing. And this is in an effort to satisfy the requirements of the Community Energy Planning Grant, which we received. And we also held a meeting on Thursday that covered a wide range of issues, and the minutes will be posted. Jamboree happened this weekend, and it was a hoot. I mean, there were just so many funny points. Viva Las Vegas was really terrific. And as usual, there was an a cappella number, there was a men's number, there was a tap number, a couples number. It's just a wonderful tradition. They raised over $225,000
Crazy.
for need-based scholarships for kids who are graduating from Ridgewood High School. So it's just, and there were new AI features in this one. So it was really cool, all the way around. The Central Business District Advisory Committee will be meeting this Thursday via Zoom at 8:30 in the morning to learn about next steps at the town garage site and at the North Walnut Street parking area. Chris Rudershauser will be speaking with us, and Keith Kasmark will also be talking about the bus station, which you just heard is going to be raised. Let's see. If you would like to join, the link is in the agenda, which is posted on the village website. The interfaith community is celebrating Black History Month with a salute to Motown. And that's going to be on February 18th in the Youth Lounge here in Village Hall at 10:30. It sounds like a lot of fun. And happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you, Pam. And I just have a brief report. I just came from Puzo's Family Restaurant on the west side, where they opened their doors. They're normally closed on Monday nights, to have another of the sensory-friendly dinners. They've been such a great sponsor of this. Families with special needs children come there to have a family dinner out, and it was absolutely lovely. I want to thank Jamie Davis, who puts this together with Access. I want to thank Puzo's. Next month, we are having our next sensory-friendly dinner. I'm checking my calendar.
McMurphy's.
At McMurphy's
St.
on
Patrick's Day.
on March 24th at 5:30. Anyone with a special needs child, whether you live in Ridgewood or not, please come, have a wonderful dinner with your family. You'll have a special section because we know that bright lights, loud music, big crowds make it hard for special needs families to go out. And there's going to be another dinner in April at Raymond's. So I want to thank all of the sponsors who do that. Please go thank them yourself. And that's all I have. And now we can get to our regular agenda. Heather, take it away.
So we have a resolution. My question is, do you want me to read it in full, or are you willing to vote on it on a consent agenda?
I think we're good with it on a consent agenda, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. So Resolution 25-104 will be read by title only. There is a brief description next to it. Authorize temporary water capital budget and temporary general capital budget. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Sorry. Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes.
Ordinances?
I move the first reading of ordinance 4032.
Second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes, so ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 4032 by title?
An ordinance appropriating $350,000 from the Water Capital Fund surplus for SCADA and security upgrades at various facilities in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey.
I move that ordinance 4032 be adopted on first reading and that March 12th, 2025 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes.
There are no public hearings. The following resolutions, numbered 25-105 through 25-113, will be adopted by consent agenda with one vote by the village council. They will be read by title only. Award contract, qualified end user, soil removal, testing and disposal of Ridgewood Water's soil spoils. Award emergency contract, emergency construction, water main break. Award sole source contract, exchange of granular activated carbon, car treatment plant and 20 treatment plant. Award sole source contract, Control Wave RTU panel, design and fabrication for the Linwood Well. Award sole source contract furnishing corrosion inhibitor. Award contract under Educational Services Commission of New Jersey, security improvements at various water facilities. Award professional services contract, professional engineering services, designing permitting West Glen Booster Station. Accept Ridgewood Water annual maintenance fee and establish interest rates for delinquent payments to the water utility for 2025 and set grace period for payment of water utility bills. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd.
Yes.
And Vagianos.
Yes.
The following resolution, number 25-114, will be considered separately and read in full. Whereas on January 18, 2025, Ridgewood Water declared a water emergency at 187 Sycamac Avenue in Midland Park due to a water main break. And whereas the Chief Financial Officer and Village Manager approved of the emergency declaration on January 18, 2025. And whereas as a result of the water main break, it was necessary for Ridgewood Water to procure the services of tree removal professionals to remove a large tree over the broken water main line. And whereas Downs Tree Service, 65 Royal Avenue, Hawthorne, New Jersey, provided the tree removal services needed to repair the water main break. Now therefore be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that the provision of emergency tree removal services for water main break be awarded to Downs Tree Service, Inc., 65 Royal Avenue, Hawthorne, New Jersey, in an amount not to exceed $4,850. And be it further resolved that the Chief Financial Officer has certified that funds are available in Ridgewood Water Operating Budget Account 5-05-55-505-536. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
I'm going to recuse myself from this matter.
Thank you.
And so, I move the first reading of ordinance 4033.
I'll second it.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes, so ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 4033 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 265 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Vehicles and Traffic, at Section 265-58, Schedule 8 through Streets.
I move that ordinance 4033 be adopted on the first reading and that March 12, 2025 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes, I move the first reading of ordinance 4034.
Second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes, so ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 4034 by title?
A bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $2,765,550 therefore, and authorize the issuance of $2,627,050 bonds or notes of the village to finance part of the costs thereof.
I move that ordinance 4034 be adopted on the first reading and that March 12, 2025 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes, I move the first reading of ordinance 4035.
Second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes, so ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 4035 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 265 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Vehicles and Traffic, at Section 265-33, Permit Parking, and Section 265-42, Reserved Parking Spaces, and Section 265-65, Schedule 15, Parking Prohibited at all times.
I move that ordinance 4035 be adopted on the first reading and that March 12, 2025 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes, I move the first reading of ordinance 4036.
I second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes, So ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 4036 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 145 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood fees at Section 145-6, enumeration of fees relating to code chapters.
I move that ordinance 4036 be adopted on first reading and that March 12, 2025 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Whites?
Yes.
Okay. Winograd?
Yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 4028 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4028?
An ordinance to amend salary ordinance 3908, an ordinance to fix salaries, wages, and other compensation of and for blue-collar employees of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and the State of New Jersey. Salary ordinance 4021, an ordinance to fix salaries, wages, and other compensation of non-union employees of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and the State of New Jersey for the year 2025. And salary ordinance 4022, fixing the salaries and wages and other compensation, and to establish the employment agreement of certain non-union officers and employees of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and the State of New Jersey for the year 2025.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
May I have a second?
I second the motion.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes.
I move that ordinance 4028 be adopted on the second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 4029 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4029?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 265 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Vehicles and Traffic, at Section 265-59, Schedule 9, Stop Intersections.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd? And Vagianos?
Yes.
I move that ordinance 4029 be adopted on the second reading and final publication required by law.
I second the motion.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 4030 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second.
Will the clerk...
Mortimer?
oh, excuse me.
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4030?
An ordinance to rescind and replace in its entirety Chapter 260 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Trees and Shrubs, and previously adopted ordinance number 3682, which amended Chapter 260, and to establish a new title for Chapter 260, Tree Protection, Removal, and Replacement.
This ordinance is being further reviewed and modified by our village attorney. There are substantive changes that will be made to this ordinance, so it will be defeated this evening, and the revised version of the ordinance will be introduced at a later date. The public hearing for ordinance 4030 was advertised for this evening, so anyone wishing to speak on this ordinance may do so at this time. The public hearing is now open.
So Paul? I just wanted to let everybody know, after introducing the ordinance, which had some great things in it, we received... We can't hear you. You can't hear me?
Just so you know, we're experimenting with new mics. Just wanted to make it clear to everyone who is not aware, who might be listening. We're experimenting with new mics so that we can have better acoustics in the room. And it just so happens that Siobhan is the one who has been tasked with that this evening. And they are not going as smoothly as we would have otherwise hoped.
And
Go ahead.
again, whenever somebody can't hear me, I've asked twice before, just give me a sign. So can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Great.
just raise your hand when you can't hear.
And, yeah, this mic's on.
We're all working together on this to make it better.
And Dylan, the battery's out on this. That's, so.
Good.
So Shade Tree introduced this, the council did it, and after we published it out, we received, I would say, a lot of feedback on how to better enforce it, which was honestly the mission of Shade Tree. So we will be going back with the changes. Matt has them. Pam, I believe, has a couple more. And we felt the best thing to do was to reintroduce it with those modifications and changes that will lead to better enforcement. If anybody wants to talk about it more, Shade Tree is getting all the amendments tomorrow night, and it will be at 7:30 in the garden room.
Any other comments? Seeing none, I move the public hearing be closed.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin? Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes.
Sorry. I move that ordinance 40-30 be defeated.
I second the motion.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Yes vote is to defeat. Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 4031 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
I second it.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4031?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 3 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Administration of Government, Article 5, Departments, and Section 3-43, Police Department.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
I second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes.
I move that ordinance 4031 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes.
The following resolutions, numbered 25-115 through 25-143, will be adopted by consent agenda with one vote by the village council. They will be read by title only. Award contract, disposal of recyclable materials. Award contract, 2025 concession refreshment service, Graden Pool. Award contract, annual maintenance for software for finance department. Award contract under Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Contract, rental of 2 trucks, sanitation department. Award contract under state contract, dissolved oxygen sensor system for aeration tanks, water pollution control facility. Award contract under state contract, 2024 Ford F-550 chassis and dump body, streets department. Award contract under state contract, 2024 Ford F-550 truck with dump body, streets department. Award contract under Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Contract, snowplows for Ford F-550 truck, streets department. Award contract under North Jersey Wastewater Cooperative Pricing System, Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission. Additional storm cleaning and TV inspection of sewer mains. Award contract under North Jersey Wastewater Cooperative Pricing System through Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission. 2 anaerobic digester mixers for water pollution control facility. Award contract under North Jersey Wastewater Cooperative Pricing System through Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission. 2 return activated sludge pumps, water pollution control facility. Award contract under North Jersey Wastewater Cooperative Pricing Systems through Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission. 1 skid mounted non-potable water booster system, water pollution control facility. Award contract under North Jersey Wastewater Cooperative Pricing Systems through Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission, trailer-mounted diesel bypass pump for clarifiers, water pollution control facility. Authorized shared services agreement, maintenance of fire and traffic signals with Hohokus. Establish interest rate for delinquent taxes and non-payment of assessments and other municipal liens for 2025 and set grace period and due date. Establish interest rates for delinquent payments for significant sewer discharger bills for 2025. Authorize electronic tax sales. Authorize cancellation of tax overpayments and delinquent amounts. Authorize tax collector to charge for mailing of tax sale notices. Accept donation, natural stone bench. Authorize 2024 budget reserve transfers. Authorize execution of Bergen County Trust Fund project contract. Grant for municipal park project. Veterans Field installation of energy-efficient LED lighting. Appoint members to Planning Board. Appoint members to Zoning Board of Adjustment. Appoint members to Green Ridgewood. Appoint members to Ridgewood Green Team Advisory Committee. Appoint members to Central Business District Advisory Committee. Appoint member to Open Space, Recreation, Farmland, and Historic Preservation Committee. Appoint member to Historic Preservation Commission. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes, and we will now return to public comment.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Boyd A. Loving, Ridgewood. This is my second trip to the microphone regarding the audio problems in this room. Quite frankly, Mr. Mayor, I am somewhat disturbed at the fact that you got a little bit testy with me for calling out. There is no other option that we have. You say to raise your hand, but I've seen people raise their hand in the room for various things, perhaps to call your attention that something is going on, and the comment is that public comments are over, please hold your comment. So basically, we're forced to speak out when something like this happens. I also remember an incident when my wife was assaulted in the room, and we spoke out, and we were chastised for speaking out then. At times, it is appropriate to speak out when something is happening. Ms. Winograd seems to have a problem with the microphone, and it is a constant problem with meetings. She turns her head to speak to you down there, and we can't hear. What are we supposed to do? It's somewhat disrespectful to the people in the room when we can't hear what's going on in the dais. I don't know why you don't call a specialist in to try to resolve this issue. It doesn't seem to me that it's going to cost a lot of money. You spend a lot of money on various things. Please fix this. And again, we are left with no other recourse. If we raise our hand, you don't have any idea what we're raising our hand about. If there's some other signal that you want us to give you that we can't hear, please advise us, because raising our hand just doesn't seem to do anything. So I've seen people in the room raise their hand for various things, then they're ignored. So please advise us as to what you want us to do if we can't hear what's going on at the dais. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Boyd.
Good evening, Ann Loving, Ridgewood resident. Councilman Mortimer, tonight you said something, and I don't have the exact quote, something along the lines of the majority of Ridgewood families have children in sports. I'd like to know what your source is for that. You know, it would be helpful if you could quote your source, because the 2024 U.S. Census Bureau says that 28.1% of households in Ridgewood have children under 18 years of age. Now, granted, there are some adult sports going on, but you said children in sports. So, you know, you want us to believe you, but how am I supposed to believe that when the census data says otherwise? Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. No one else in the room, so we will go to hybrid access. Cynthia, you're up.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me again?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'll try to talk slowly and loudly.
Thank you.
Please identify yourself.
The O'Keefe, Ridgewood resident. And I will send you the Board of Ed timestamp for that meeting with Dr. Schwartz's quotes. So you can look forward to an email from me. I did want to address the point that Frank mentioned. When I talk about special interests, I'm talking about that you're not looking at all residents. You're looking at, you're making comments, basically, Frank, and I'm going to, you're the one who answered the question, so I'm going to direct this towards you. And you said last week you went to a seminar from the League of Municipalities that, were giving you the tools on how to optimize your performance as a new council person. A little feedback from me would be, you've made comments, decisions made on the dais affect your family because your daughter is a jock. You've made some really declarative statements about how important sports is and how, important Parks and Rec is to you. And nobody's taking that away from you. But you've also come to Ridgewood telling everyone you're this environmental bee guy. People are confused, and now you're pro-turf. It's just like a little mind-boggling, in my opinion, and others seem to share this, from what I've heard in town, that, it's a little disingenuous of you to come and tell us to create pollinator pathways, and then you want to slap down, an impervious surface like turf. It makes no sense. And, you cherry-picked from a document that Pam later, the following week, clarified there were disclaimers. It was not a risk assessment. You cannot tell people the EPA told you crumb rubber is safe and that we just pack up and go home. You didn't read the report then. That's what I would have to say about that. And I did read it, and I'm assuming Pam read it because she seemed to have a lot more information than you did when you were quoting that EPA told you it was safe. I don't know what reports you're reading in Europe, but we live in America. So I choose to listen to the experts who live here and who are telling us it's made up of chemicals and it is negative to our environment. And as a bee guy, I would expect you'd appreciate that, but you seem to have a very closed mind about this topic, and it's, I don't know. I mean, I'm a little riled up right now just because I find it so hard to believe. That's really all I have to say. I have plenty of information on microplastics and bees. I'd be happy to share about it with you. Maybe you haven't read them. You probably should. If we're a bee city and a tree city, I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. But I really hope that you'd have an open mind and you'd be willing to listen to research and people who are professionals who are telling us, like doctors, who are telling us turf is dangerous. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'm going to close public comment. And Boyd, if I sounded the least bit testy, my deepest apologies. I thought I had detected a note of impatience in your tone, both from your chair and from the dais, but that would not give me any cause to be testy with you. My deepest apologies. However, we are all trying to work on this problem together. We brought a prototype in to try it, not working so well. We are trying to work through this as best as we can, and because you are such regular attendees here, your assistance without impatience would be greatly appreciated, because all we're ever trying to do is make sure people hear us. And I think you know that that is something that I personally focus upon, both for myself, for the members of the dais, and everyone here. We all want to make sure. And Siobhan, to her credit, raised the issue that, can you hear me? She's just trying to make sure. So let's all just try and work together on this one, okay?
So could I add to that?
I'm not done.
Okay. Well,
So-
I'd like to go back to me because I was the problem.
Okay, go ahead.
So when I was a citizen, the audio's been a problem, and upon taking my seat in 2023, Evan and I did ask for an assessment. We moved that over there. We did several things. The cost that was delivered us to improve all the audio was too high of a capital spend. We've been diligently trying, and I'll be clear, I'm going to throw you under the bus with myself. It's me and Evan. We are the two problems, and there's reasons for that. To our credit, we keep trying things. What would work best for the hearing in general is to do the universal sign if I can't hear, or raise the volume, which we've gone over. I truly apologize. I'm going to keep trying, but for all the audio to be upgraded in 2022, we didn't have the money. Knowing my friend Evan, he's not going to spend the money. I want to say thank you to our IT staff, because I'm the only one up here with this mic. Not everybody wants to try it, and it appears the battery died. So these things all happen, and by no means do I feel that what everybody has to say up is here important. I was just a little bit taken aback, because if anybody can't hear us, that's a reasonable thing. Just let us know. Tap your ear, we're constantly looking out, or raise the volume that way, some kind of sign, because clearly the audio had fallen off before I asked. And it's just a shame. I just want to say I apologize if people haven't heard anything that we've said. It's just a shame that we're trying, and I'd like more ideas of how to do it. And because people, if you're here and you can't hear me, just let me know. I guarantee you I'm watching, and if you make a sign, we will, I'm sure Evan and I, because it's going to be you next.
Well, I was going to say, for what it's worth, I know I tried the lapel mic twice. Didn't quite work out. I met with Dylan before tonight. He told me he ordered some new ones that he thinks will help, which is why I didn't bother with the lapel tonight, because the ones we have just aren't working. So he did find some that weren't terribly expensive, so I'm hoping that'll help. I agree, we got to get better on this. So hopefully those new mics, when they come in, will help. I will note, I am literally almost eating the mic tonight in deference to you, Boyd, so I'm doing my best.
Good. So we're all on the same page on this. Now, Cynthia, you know, I have to jump in here. You accused Frank of being closed-minded and cherry-picking information. There has been so much cherry-picking from the audience about pieces of information. Frank has not had the opportunity to even vote on this because the council has already voted on it. And unless and until it comes back to the council for a vote, it doesn't matter. And as far as being closed-minded, Frank is, I am so grateful he is refreshingly open-minded, and the fact that he or anybody on the council disagrees with someone does not make them closed-minded. It just means they disagree, and it just means Frank, who does a tremendous amount of research on this and every other topic, just disagrees.
Yeah, I mean, I too, you kind of beat me to it. I did think those comments tonight were a bit pointed. It is absolutely consistent with being an environmentalist to want children outside playing. And for me, one of the defining factors why I support turf is that it means more kids will spend more time outdoors as opposed to indoors playing video games or doing something else. And to say that you're not an environmentalist because you don't want kids out there, again, I think it was a bridge too far. I also want to remind folks that as much respect as I have for my friend Cynthia, my friend Amy was here before, you're asking us to advocate or take a position that has not been adopted by the EPA. It's not been adopted by any state at the state level, and it's only been adopted by a handful of municipalities. I'll continue to listen to the arguments and hear them, but sort of phrasing it as if this is a foregone conclusion or this is widely accepted science, I don't think is a fair characterization of the facts that are out there. And again, you know, Paul beat me to it on the closed mind piece. I'll say it before, I'll say it again. We've listened to all the facts, those of us who voted on it. It's not that we don't have a closed mind, we just disagree. We've heard the arguments, we have a reasonable difference of opinion. Say we're closed-minded, we're not listening, again, I think is somewhat disingenuous.
Thanks. Can I jump in?
All you.
First, I'd like to thank Mayor and Councilman Weitz for speaking up. First, I want to address the audio. I agree, even like Siobhan, I couldn't hear you when the mic wasn't working down here, so I can imagine back there. And having sat in the audience, I know it's a problem. And I do think that we should make it a focus. And I know Dylan has some plans, and maybe we should have a presentation on that as soon as possible. Second, and my source, and I apologize if I overstated it, but then in the when the last submission to SHPO, that the consultant that was, and I'm doing this off the top of my head, so excuse me for not being specific, the consultant that the village hired had polled how many children were in the various sports, and it was like over 5,000. So I was basing it on that, as well as when Keith at the last meeting talked about how many different leagues in baseball there was. So my point being, so to be more specific, there's a large and a significantly large population in Ridgewood that plays sports. And that's why we spent money on the lights at vets, et cetera. And because of that large population of students here in town, I don't think it's right to call them a special interest group. A special interest, in my definition, means small, and I don't think that the number of sports that play and continues to grow. Look at our girls flag football, twice state champions, as an example of a new sport. And I think that that's, says how important sports is, not just in Ridgewood, but across the country. And so that's what I was trying to say. I'd like to address some of the comments. I think saying I'm disingenuous is completely unfair. I've read that survey multiple times, and there's specifics in there about how none of those chemicals get absorbed into a person who plays on it. It specifically says people that play on it, when they breathe, it doesn't get into them. It's the same as being on a turf field. So as I previously said, and I don't want to constantly repeat this, but if the general population, if it's the same as playing on the field or just sitting at home, that equals safe. I'm sorry. The other thing, to say that because I want an impervious surface, two things. One, if that were a grass field, bees aren't going to it either, because we're not talking about an unblemished meadow. We're talking about a sports field. Bees don't pollinate, nothing pollinates grass. And when it comes to impervious surfaces, bees and pollinators also don't visit roads. And I am 100% in favor of asphalt roads and parking lots. That again does not make me less of an environmentalist. It makes the reality of it. I mean, it's like we talked about the bus terminal that we're going to be putting in, and we're looking at grass roots, or grass surface on top, on the roof. And there's many ways to be an environmentalist, but you have to be practical. And in the bottom, like the crux of this whole argument, again, that this previous council hired consultants that commented on this, that for the amount of hours per year that our fields get used, the fields, if they're grass, become dangerous. At 1,000 hours, grass deteriorates and it gets pitted, and that's a danger to the students. So the reason we're talking about turf is so that we can maximize its use here in town. And there's still plenty of ways for pollinators to pollinate. And I just, again, say, beekeepers are practical. And because there's one little field that some in Ridgewood don't like, doesn't mean that those of us that are in favor of it are any less environmentalist. We're practically trying to help the active sports as well as the passive with the other parks, and there will be passive in other park portion of Shedler.
And I would ask that those who do not support the plan for this park open their minds to support the kids and the families who want to get out and play sports for all of the health and social benefits that are there, and not look at it, as Frank just pointed out, and say, well, just keep playing on grass fields. We don't have enough. And with that...
Wait a second.
What? So sorry. So sorry, Bill.
I did want to say one more thing. The European studies that I quote are quoted in the EPA studies. That the way scientific articles are written is they find primary sources. The European studies that I quoted are the primary sources and are in the EPA as well when you look at their references. So I'm not just pulling those out of the air, I'm sticking to the EPA to show that they also are going to Europe to look at those studies. Now I'm done. Thank you.
Pam?
Okay. The EPA study had to do with crumb rubber. And Ridgewood is not planning to use crumb rubber. The substance that Ridgewood is considering purchasing is cork and coconut, which has
two separate options.
Which hasn't been studied at all. So we're putting kids at risk, and without knowing what the effect is, and it is just for those kids who play athletics that we want to keep them healthy. And here, you're taking a big risk with their health. And I just can't see why we would do that. I had another point, which escapes me right now.
Can I talk and then you can maybe rethink? Pam, the reason that I bring up that study is every study that's quoted by somebody that opposes turf is using the chrome rubber. So the tire rubber argument equals what they're saying. So while I hear your point, but please understand that you can't say, well, these studies against tire crumb rubber is works, but when you try to defend it, it doesn't work. Both sides should not use it, or both sides should use it.
So
I
could
don't
I
know what
say-
you're saying.
I'm saying that the Mount Sinai and all those other there's studies that are that people bring up, when you dig into those, because I've read all those as well, it's all about crumb rubber. So the EPA is it's the same. It's
That's
apples
right.
to apples.
Which is why we should wait. And that's what it was. We have not tried organic maintenance of grass fields in such a way that we will get more playtime. And there is work done out there, and I've gone to webinars where they explain how you can get more playtime out of natural grass, and it doesn't have to get pitted. And we should try that first.
So I just want to add some information here.
Excuse me, I'm just going to ask that we
Wrap
bring
it up.
this to a close
Right.
soon, because this has been discussed countless times. It has already been voted upon, so this is a discussion that should continue, but again, if we can move it along.
So just because there was an idea of how many people and the percentages, we've had a significant increase with COVID, and during my time of being involved, we've seen softball expand into kickball, and for anybody who watched the Super Bowl last night, there's a national movement now to do exactly what Ridgewood did with the girls' flag football. I don't know if you all saw the commercial, but sports are very important to Ridgewood right now and historically. They're so important that our high school's mantra has 4 pillars, of which one is athletics, equally in size and shape as academics, the arts, and extracurriculars. So that's very important. It's a cultural symbol of how our school identifies. They're very important. Sometimes there's too much important placed in them, yes, but that's to give you an idea of our town and what they value and our education system. It's one of the 4 pillars. When we speak about sports, we're not just speaking about kids. As many of you know, since COVID, we've had a lot of adults recreating, a lot of adults who we want to age and play in place. We have, as you've all met, RASA, Ridgewood Adult Soccer, which is growing. So when I vote on the fields, it's not just for the kids or the high school, it's for the adults that we hope stay and play in place. So, and then to Frank's point, all the numbers that we've collected are in the report that if anybody wants to represent them, to ship out. The other thing that I want to say is that turf is not impervious. It has an undercarriage. It's actually pervious. So the turf here and at the high school has an undercarriage as a filtration system, and the turf that we're not putting in is AstroTurf on top of concrete, and the goal of the project is it would be pervious. And lastly, what Paul was echoing is that we voted on this a long time ago. We've all talked about New Year's resolutions and everything. We need to take this project and move it forth. And you have 4 votes for turf, and we need to move it forward. We need to get to the next step of SHPO and keep progressing. And I mean, we keep going back and back. And I think the next best step is to focus on the SHPO application, getting a tenant into the house, and taking our next step forward with that. But I just want to add that information.
Thank you, and I'm going to move this forward and entertain a resolution to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Wait, I have to read it. Be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that the Village Council meet in closed session on February 10th, 2025 at 7:30 PM, or as soon thereafter as a matter of the agenda can be reached, and that said closed session be held in the Caucus Room on the 4th floor of the Ridgewood Village Hall, 131 North Maple Avenue, Ridgewood, New Jersey. And be it further resolved that the matter to be discussed in closed session is limited to legal matters to include contract with Economic Development Strategist, LLC. This matter is allowable under NJSA 10:4-12.sec. Be it further resolved that the minutes of this meeting shall be made available to the general public when such matters have been deemed completed by resolution of the Village Council. May I have a motion?
Actually, can we amend the motion? I think we may meet in the green room downstairs. I think HBC still
We
has
might
to
meet right here.
Or actually, can we
Okay.
stay here?
Okay, so we'll meet
Yeah.
in the courtroom. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thanks.
So we close the door, right?